We'll call our meeting to order. Note that all members are present, and the first thing to do is to set the agenda.
President Preiner, staff have no adjustments.
Okay, anybody else? If not, we'll have a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the Rice Creek Board of Managers February 23rd, 2022 regular meeting.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda.
I'm President Preiner, Board of Managers. Staff have 4 applications for your consideration today, presented without changes.
Without changes. Okay, any questions? Not, we'll have a motion.
Madam President, I move to Cap Rock permit number 21-079, 21-112, 22-003, and 22-007.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Note that there is nobody online or present for open mic or comment. If somebody comes in, we'll address it. And we'll go to items requiring board action. Kyle?
First item for your consideration today, we are asking the board to authorize release of plans and specifications for the Long Lake Sediment Basin dredging project. As you recall, we are looking to implement this project this summer. It takes place on Ramsey County property, just north or just upstream of Long Lake. Houston has completed the plans for this project, and we are proposing to release that through a sealed bid process. As you'll recall, we do have a lease with Merlowski Properties for a dewatering facility, which is kind of just up the hill to the east of the Ramsey County Park property. That lease begins April 1st. We will soon be making our first payment for that, first monthly payment. With that, really just looking for introduction and approval of Resolution 2022-05. Before the meeting, I did pass out a revised resolution, which just changes some of the resolve statements at the end on advice of your legal counsel. And specifically would just note that, we'll put this out for bidding, and we do expect to bring those bids back to the board, of course, likely at your April 13th meeting for a decision. And construction would again hopefully begin right around the end of April or early May. We'd get things moving.
Okay, any questions for Kyle before we look at the resolution?
Madam Chair, it noted that it goes through the county board process. Do you see any challenge with that?
Yeah, Madam President, Manager Wynant, thank you for that reminder. No, actually, and I meant to say something about that. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, this week, we received a final access agreement back from Ramsey County that has been reviewed and approved by the county assistant attorney. So we are in good shape there, and that will be on your next board meeting agenda later this month for approval.
Okay.
Great.
So, Madam President, so Kyle, in the past we used the dredging company. Do you intend to do that again?
This will be a hydraulic dredge operation. There are a few contractors that we're aware of that typically bid on this type of work.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, need a motion.
Madam Chair, I would move approval of resolution number 2022-5, accepting plans for the and specifications and directing the solicitation of bids for Long Lake Sediment Basin dredging project. Be it resolved that the Board of Managers accept the plan and specifications for the construction of the project dated February 18th, 2022, and direct the solicitation of bids according to the engineer's recommendation for implementation of the project and as required by law. And be it further resolved that the Board of Managers authorize minor, non-material modifications of the construction plan and specification by the administrator on advice of council, including delay of bidding, contract award, or notice to proceed, as may be required to complete the bid solicitation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Be a roll call. Manager Waller?
Yes.
Manager Wynet?
Yes.
Manager Bradley?
Yes.
Manager Wagman?
Yes.
Manager Priner, yes. Motion passes. Okay, Kyle?
Thank you. Next item for your consideration today, we have a proposed memorandum of agreement with the City of Lino Lakes to partner and work together on a feasibility study for potential water quality, primarily water quality improvement practice at Shenandoah Park in the City of Lino Lakes. If I was thinking a little bit farther ahead than I was, I would have brought a figure to put up on the screen for everybody. I neglected to do that today. Within your packet, though, we do have, there's a couple of maps. It'd be in it's attachment, is it A, attachment A to the memorandum of agreement. There's the catchment profile for what's called RL13, which is a drainage area that was identified, yes?
President Priner, sorry for the interruption. Kyle, could you reference the map again? I see people trying to find
I don't
it.
have a page number here.
It's
It didn't print.
It's page 66 of our packet.
66 of the packet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, there's two different numbers on there.
Okay, so page 66 then?
66 of our packet.
Okay, and so within that actual attachment, there's a page number 41 that shows a map of where Rice Lake is and where Shenandoah Park is. It's just on the south side of Birch Street, just south of Rice Lake, kind of on the north end of that large residential neighborhood there. And what we're looking at, this was an area that was identified back in 2009, 2010, when we completed the Rice Lake Subwatershed Assessment with the Anoka Conservation District. It was one of the, what would be considered like a capital improvement project site within that report, along with like Rice Lake Elementary and a couple other places that required additional engineering and modeling before any specific, concrete proposals would be put forth in that report. So we're at a point, the city is interested in moving forward with study of that area for potential BMP in the future. And they've reached out to the Watershed District to help with that effort. And so they would be engaging with the city's engineer, which is WSB and Associates, to undertake some detailed XP swim modeling and P8 modeling in that specific catchment area that drains through the park. Currently there's an open ditch that kind of winds its way along the side, and then it goes under Birch Street and into Rice Lake. So there's a very large drainage area that's fully developed, and it's a good opportunity kind of at the bottom of that drainage area to implement some project. The Anoka Conservation District had, again, this is 12 years ago now, had proposed kind of a series of wetland enhancement, water level modification type efforts that might store more water in the currently drained wetland portion of the park. So that's something that WSB will look at, and I think they have a couple other thoughts that they'd look at as well. And again, we're looking forward to working with the city on that and hopefully come forward with a project in the future that would be implementable there. The total cost in the scope of work from WSB, if I have this here, it's just shy of $22,000. We'd be proposing a 50-50 cost share arrangement for that work with the city. Rice Creek's share of cost would not exceed $10,962.50, and this would come from our Fund 60-01, the Anoka Chain of Lakes Water Management Project. So this would be capital improvement, feasibility work, if you will. With that, I think I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Kyle? The motion is on page 60. Proposed motion.
Oh, and I will note one other thing, I apologize.
Go ahead.
In the draft MOA that's in your packet, it references the city or the WSB scope of work with the incorrect date. It says dated January 6th, that should be February 24th, which is the correct scope of work is in the packet.
All right, any questions?
Madam President, so Kyle, I see on page 42 or 70 of the packet, they have some pollutant removal potential reductions there. It looked like fairly sizable total solids removed of 75%.
Potentially, Manager Waller, that's correct. And that's, again, an early estimate from the Conservation District. I think we'll see much more refined data come out of the study that the city will undertake.
So, well, that's pretty good. That includes the phosphorus count inside that, doesn't it?
Yeah, phosphorus, yeah, they were anticipating in this, at the time of the original subwatershed assessment, 30 to 40% phosphorus removal from that drainage area. Again, we'll see what we can come up with. I anticipate, I'll just note, since you're looking at that table, their estimated cost for a project is probably a little bit low at this point.
Yeah, that's-
So,
Yes, but, and then the photograph on the other side of the page there, 43, is that also from 12 years ago, or is that?
correct, yeah, that whole catchment profile is an excerpt from that report.
Well, it sounds like it'll accomplish quite a bit if it takes that amount of phosphorus out of there. We certainly need to, Rice Lake doesn't need that over there. The Chain of Lakes have plenty of phosphorus already.
That is true.
Madam Chair? I would just point out at the bottom of page 59 that this project is consistent with the Anoka Chain of Lakes Water Management Project. It's noted in our 2020 Watershed Management Plan, and forethought has certainly gone into this with money in the 2022 budget. So it's nice to see how planning has a connection to actually work that goes on the ground. So just noting that.
Okay, we have a proposed motion, anybody? Page 60 of our packet.
Madam President, I move to approve the memorandum of agreement with the City of Land Lakes for the Shenandoah Park BMP feasibility study, authorizing the district administrator to execute the document, which includes a 50-50 cost share.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. Adoption of the public drainage system bond policy. Tom, there he is.
Good morning, Board of Managers. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We're good.
Good. Madam President, Board of Managers, for consideration today, you will find a proposed policy for the receipt and management of bonds related to petitions for alterations to the public drainage system by private parties. The policy will guide staff in the consistent management of these bonds, and when needed, ensure coordination with the district regulatory program. Staff believes the consistency and predictability created by the adoption of a policy will benefit our constituents.
Okay. Questions for Tom?
Madam President.
Yes.
Good morning, Tom. So I just have one question. The district often petitions itself. So the district would be subject to this bonding or not?
No, sir.
right. Thank you.
Only the private parties,
Okay,
and not municipalities or counties or other governmental organizations.
thank you.
Okay, we have a resolution.
President.
Madam President, I move to approve Resolution 2022-06 for the policy to manage petitioner bonds required in proceedings under Minnesota statutes, Chapter 103E. Therefore, be it resolved that the board adopts the following policy to manage bonds supplied by petitioners in Chapter 103E proceedings, and I will waive the reading of all of that, if that's okay with you, President.
Okay.
President Preiner, before we have a second on that, I'd just like to point out to Steve, there's a typo on page 80 in the resolution, just above the roll call. It's misspelling of reimbursement, just so that's noted.
Corrected, okay.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I'd just like to note for the record that this board did have a discussion about this back in January at a board workshop.
Thank you. Yes, we did. Okay, it'll be a roll call. Manager Bradley.
Yes.
Manager Priner, yes. Manager Wagaman.
Yes?
Manager Waller.
Yes,
And Manager Wyden.
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, thank you, Tom.
Thank you, managers.
Okay, calendar board changes, locations, okay.
Yes, President Preiner, Board of Managers, we've noted to you that your council chambers here that you use at Shoreview will be unavailable. First for the remodeling of this facility, late April through August, and then secondly for absentee voting late September and October. So staff did search for alternative arrangements. All these good folks at the cities, Shoreview offered us, an alternative room across the hall. Lino Lakes, we looked at that. But there are some technician issues there during the day. Mounds View is kind of where we landed. They agreed to have Rice Creek use its chambers. And they utilize the same technician, which is 9 North, so that should be pretty seamless for all that logistical matters. And the update I need to share is that Mounds View said they are fine with all the dates to do the straight through the entire time frame, so that we wouldn't be someplace, come back here, and then go back. So with that would make option 2 available to you, should that be your wish. And that's on page 84 of the packet. It lists out the dates that we would be there, and accordingly, the district calendar would be updated.
That's good.
Madam President, just because I'm often lost in the world, is the Mounds View City Council building we're looking at underneath the water tower? Where is it?
It's just right off
County?
County Road 10, near the water tower.
Near the water tower? So that's a landmark, so when I get lost, I'll be able to
just
go back to the water.
And it's a very nice facility. Madam Chair? So, why would we come here and then go back there? What's going on in August?
Yeah, President Preiner, Board of Managers, the idea is not to yo-yo back and forth between locations, so that when we need to vacate or not use Shoreview, we would go to Mounds View, and we would stay there until such time we can just come back to this location.
Right, and we can't use this because of voting, because of the election.
They're remodel first, and then they're going to have absentee voting. They'll
Right.
utilize the space for that.
Right.
Well, it's very generous of the city of Mounds View, so we have to make sure to thank them for that.
Nice.
Yeah, and maybe we'll have some new people in our audience. Okay, so we need a motion.
Well, I'd be willing to go with alternative 2 unless someone thinks there's a reason not to, but, okay. Madam Chair, I would move to amend the 2022 board calendar to list the city of Mounds View Council Chambers, 2401 County Road 10, Mounds View, as the location for board meetings on April 27th, May 11th, May 25th, June 8th, June 22nd, July 13th, July 27th, August 10th, August 24th, September 14th, September 18th, October 12th, and October 26th,
Madam President,
2022.
I believe the manager said September 18th. It should be September 28th.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Looks like I'll be walking to meetings.
Yeah, you're going to be the closest.
And the sun will be out.
Yeah, it's going to be nice, it'll be summer.
With gas prices, you're lucky.
Check register.
Okay, Madam President, I move to approve the check register dated March 9th, 2022, in the amount of $49,915.07, prepared by Redpath and Company.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. District engineer, any Comments, questions for the engineer?
Yeah, who's this engineer guy?
I have no comment.
Okay, sounds good. Administrator updates?
Yes, President Priner, just to note, y'all received a packet from Teresa for tonight's Anoka, Washington JD4 meeting on the transfer for the public hearing. Note there's a couple of options in there, and Council Kolb will be available to talk you through those along with staff and so on. I'll note that Kyle sent a nice email on the Preview Lake Outfall project after our workshop, telling him that we had board consensus, looking for disclosure of information and move into a memorandum of agreement on that. At that same workshop, I noted discussion with the managers and President Priner regarding our current declaration under which we have our virtual meetings and an interest to rescind that. I did work with Attorney Smith here to craft that, and so it's ready to be signed. This would mean you could not participate virtually in the meetings, and I just thought it best that we just kind of announce it, and if you're all on the same page, or just to know that that option would be eliminated. But not trying to make more of it than need be, but just make note of it.
And when, were we going to discuss the masking then too at this?
Well, anyone's free to wear a mask if they like, whenever they like, I guess. Are you referring to the office protocols
Yes,
and that sort of
yes.
thing? Sure. So I did query some of the other watershed districts. It's interesting, but obviously what others do, we need not do. Currently, we have the remote option for staff and masking required in the office. The query of the other watersheds, we found most of them continue to work remotely. We had Comfort Lake, Forest Lake with that. Their doors are closed to the public, but they assist staff by appointment and such, or if they knock on the door. Coon Creek, wearing face masks in public areas of the building, hybrid schedules, which is a recurring theme that I hear from a lot of other entities. I believe the state has a hybrid option, and staff has to be there at least 60% of the time. Maybe it's a little more formal. It's my understanding. Washington Conservation District adopted a similar protocol there. And then Ramsey, Washington Metro, starting in April, staff will go back to being in the office a minimum of 3 days a week. That sounds to be in alignment with the same Bowser protocols that I mentioned there. So with that, I guess I look to the board. If you have an interest in that not being a requirement of staff, I could certainly formulate an email for that to occur. I just throw it out.
I'm befuddled from a scientific basis.
Oh, okay.
By the concept of saying, we want you in the office 60% of the time, that sounds like it's not being driven by the pandemic, but it's being driven by social change.
Yep.
And before we adopt a social change that says we don't want our employees in the office, we should have a serious thought and discussion of that.
And it was under my opinion that didn't the federal workers all get called back in? That's what they were moving towards when I saw it. They
Go ahead.
If I could, President Priner, Board of Managers, I thank you, Manager Bradley, noting the science side of it. I have my notes here as well. So when we close the office, what I was looking at is the CDC COVID transmission rate. And on that website, there's a number of different tools you can utilize. Manager Wegman and I, Kyle was nice enough to pull it up. He was online after the meeting had closed and showed it. right, when we closed the office, our 3 counties were in the high category, the highest category for the transmission of the disease. Right now, 2 of our counties, Washington and Anoka, have dropped 1 level to what's called substantial. Bear with me, Manager Wagaman, please. And Ramsey remains high. That information's updated weekly. Now, on that same site, you can look at another tool that looks at the low, medium, and high, and that's determined by how many hospital beds are being used, how many people are being admitted, total of new cases, and all this sort of thing. And to the assertion of, the varying information, those are low. Enough people are coming out of the hospitals that the tools that we have to deal with a pandemic are on, I'll say, low alert, if you will. But the transmission rate, like I was saying, still remains.
Above 5?
Yeah. So that's the science side, if you will, of COVID, of what I could find, and what I used originally when we closed the office.
So I'm going to circle back to my basic question, which is, if you have a requirement that says we want you in the office 60% of the time, is the assumption that somehow they'll...
Need your mic on, please. There.
Thank you, sorry about that. So, discussing the concept of partial reopening the office and saying, well, we want you back in the office 60% of the time. I'm trying to figure out what the value of that is. Is it the theory that you'll have enough scattering if we've got 14 employees that they would in fact be there, 3 days a week, and you would only have, therefore, likely 10 at any given time? What's the deal?
President Preiner, Manager Bradley, thank you for the question. I would say that has a minor role. The scattering or disbursement, the social distancing that becomes available would be a smaller factor in my mind. It is more the social side. We do have 3 staff that have made note of remote, inquiry. What are we going to do? Where are we going? I would like this. It helps my schedule, these types of things. It's not lost on me that a lot of other workforces are similarly situated. I can't speak to it more than that, although I'm quite certain the state has some flexibility there, and one of the county watershed districts I noted has that same opportunity to its staff. So it's almost an additional benefit, if you will, that employees are seeking, and there's quite a demand or challenge to find good employees. That I've heard in the news. I see Greg nodding. Maybe Houston or Smith Partners may have additional information that may be helpful.
So, Madam President.
Go ahead.
First of all, the statement you began when you began this dissertation was, this is what are done by other folks. We don't necessarily have to do it ourselves. I think that's important to remember.
Yep.
And then, in addition to that, I guess I would like to see more of this, if we're considering the price of gas, which is bothering me, and the time and travel, that when they have their meetings like with Houston or with the legal firms or with other government agencies, you make use of these video conferences and continue to. I think that's an efficiency in time and available. That's not the social side of it, I understand, but I'm talking about the efficiency of how the office runs, and what we're paying for time, for travel time, etc., things like that. That's I just asked that could be considered as a part of thought process.
I think what I would like to see is a staff meeting and let the staff have some input, the whole staff, and try to get an idea of their timing and their scheduling. And yes, with the price of gas, we have to, accommodate that as much as we can. But also the office needs to be open, I think. Everywhere you go, it's open,
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find the balance in that.
So, Madam Chair, staffing, I believe, is an administrative function.
I agree.
So maybe this is, you're asking us for advice, but ultimately, Nick, I believe that as the administrator, this is your responsibility to figure out how to do that. What has, remote has proven very effective over the last 2 years. It may not be as, you might be able to get the work done, but you may not be able to have the interaction between staff and maybe missing some serendipitous opportunities. But I think as a board, we have been extremely pleased at the continuation of the work of the Watershed. So maybe it's not today, but think about it and figure out how you really want to do this.
If I may. So, I worked in an office of 100 and some people, and I can tell you that some of those people could work remotely and some of those people could not. And when I look at your organization, our organization, it seems to me that you've got groups where you have 4 or 5 people working in a unit, regulatory, Patrick's organization. And that needs to be coordinated to make it effective. And having them work from a single base, I would think, would make that much easier to coordinate. You can touch base at least maybe once a day or once every other day. Most of the time, they're going to be out of the office anyway because they're inspecting or whatever. But it may be that Patrick's group needs to be based out of our office. I would say the same thing with our ditch maintenance people. We've got 3 people there. They need to be coordinated, particularly under the circumstances we're working with right now. That needs working coordination. That probably needs to be worked out of our office. Beth Carino can work probably anywhere. So I would say to you, as RC1 has said to you, come to us with a proposal.
Well, Madam
And I
Clerk,
also think that the newer employees haven't had time to gel with the older employees. I don't want to say
They're
older.
losing out on that.
They are
That's the
losing
one
it.
thing I
Yeah.
do think they lose,
Yeah.
but
They're probably doing a
there's
fine job.
trade-offs
is
either
that-
way.
yeah.
so, Madam President, it seems to me when we closed the office, we made some kind of a motion or such at the time, or made a resolution or such, and we'll need that kind of action taken in order to open it up again.
Yeah.
And that's just a procedural part, but you guys can figure that out.
Yeah. President Pryor, Board of Managers, I don't believe there was an action at the time. It did coincide with the declaration that the President made to go to utilize these virtual tools, because the governor's order had been rescinded, and so we could no longer perform under that, and so the President's action brought us back to the virtual tools. Certainly, you could take an action and give me a definitive direction of what you want. I appreciate Manager Bradley's statement of come up with something that's going to be a balance and that the ship doesn't fall apart. It's new territory, I think, for all employers, and certainly we want to keep these folks happy. In witnessing Houston Engineering, many of their staff are working from home and such, and it's an accommodating schedule, if you will, for our social lives and our families and that sort of thing. So again, where I started, I think it's the new frontier, and that will be a part of what we do. What I don't want to have is kind of this scheduling nightmare where everyone gets to do what they want, and then well, no one's here, so lock the door if you're,
That can't happen.
that's
last one out,
the
shut
other
the door.
side. But I would appreciate, I guess, if you'll entertain anything Louis could add from his experience with other watersheds, if
Before Louis,
you're open.
Steve had a,
Well, my only thing was, I do think it's two separate issues, like you said. The staff part of it, I think if you came up with some kind of a solution, but I do think the office needs to be wide open. That's my one, I don't think we should be closed,
No.
Yeah.
period. But the staff part of it, I understand that there's issues there that
I
you
go
need
with
to
that.
work out and look at, but we should be open,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah. President Priner, Board of Managers, and to Manager Wagaman's point, I would, I guess I see three different issues. The mask and what is one thing. What are the rules, if you will, that one has to follow when they're in the office and that sort of thing. And I think with subsidence, each person's going to take that differently. We put the protocols in place, and at a minimum, they're available, right? We have the hand sanitizer, we have masks available, we have kind of a effective air treatment system to remove virus, whether it's flu, COVID, or otherwise. I think that gives comfort to your employees that we're doing the best we can to fight the fight, if you will. The office being open or closed, agree. I don't think anyone should come to our door and be like, well, it's locked and that kind of thing. With all our good noticing, you're likely to have those. I will say that most, the office is staffed. Hopefully they knock hard and we're happy to help them. I would say we've actually increased inefficiency because most people going through this period of time realize that places are closed. They call us on the phone and we coordinate to meet in person. Hey, I need a wet ink copy of the easement. How do we coordinate that? Here we are, we get it signed, hand it off to them, and the business is done. So that's increased efficiency, I think, in that regard to do business better there. Yeah, I'll stop there.
okay. Louis, you had a comment, or?
Madam President, Managers, you've had a pretty thorough discussion. The only issue that I don't think you've discussed that I am aware of some watershed districts actively discussing in the reopening of the office process is vaccination policy, and whether or not to require employees either to be vaccinated or to produce negative testing. So that's just one other issue that's topical for you.
If the CDC is,
Attorney to throw a switch under the tree.
so if the CDC is saying you no longer have to wear masks, I don't think we can say we're going to go a step further and require vaccination. I mean, that's just reality.
Yeah.
Would have liked it before, but it's not going to, we're not going to happen. You can't get away with it. I don't think we have authority.
I don't think we should be doing that.
I don't either. People can make their own choice if they want to be vaccinated and wear a mask. They have that right and ability. But forcing doesn't seem like the right answer to me.
Certainly should maintain the policy if you, any time you feel any illness whatsoever, that's the time to stay home
Right.
and wear a mask.
Madam President, the only thing I would add to the conversation, respecting the board's discretion, is that you do have authority to require vaccination if you choose to go that route.
Okay, thank you. Okay, consensus on that, so,
Well, I can just see that the truckers, they've been looking for a cause.
Yeah, we'll have them at our door.
President Priner, so I made my 2 points, and the third, which we've correctly separated, is, okay, if this is the new frontier, what's the management plan of staff, or what does that look like? So I can come back with a proposal, update your policy book, this kind of thing at a future date. In the past, we've talked about reorganization or staffing issues and so on. I think that's all things on the horizon for us. So I can certainly come back with a plan for the policy book on that.
I don't think you should feel that you have to change anything from where it was. But if you feel it's necessary to change something from where it was, then you come back and talk to us about it.
Fair enough. President Preiner, Manager Bradley, duly noted. I wouldn't raise the issue if I didn't feel it was something that we have to change. I feel we will have employees that see the grass being greener in other locations, and I'd hate to lose any of them. So,
I understand.
Go ahead, Louis.
Madam President, I recalled one other issue. That is that with the changing nature of the pandemic, some organizations have chosen to delegate to the administrator and the president the authority, if risk levels increase, to adjust masking or other office policies accordingly, just to maintain some level of flexibility, anticipating that while we all hope the pandemic is going to be behind us, the ability to change with the conditions. So that's one other element to consider.
Would that take some sort of formal action for us to do that, or is it just kind of already known?
President Preiner, Board of Managers, within your policy book that exists for severe weather already, if we should see the need to close the office or send folks home or back in the day, a snow day for school or that kind of thing. And President Preiner, I don't know, maybe twice in the years I've been here, I've coordinated on, it's probably best to send folks home to beat the storm or whatever the case is. So working with council, we could probably come up with some language to note other reasons. Take it out of the severe weather and make it a little more robust, would be my suggestion.
You can bring that along with the other stuff you're going to bring back to us.
There you go.
Well, and then what are we looking at for a time frame as far as changing the office procedures? I don't think we need a whole thing written and come back to us. I'd like to see Nick to be able to move ahead.
Yeah, President Preiner, that's a very good point. The last time we opened, then we closed 2 weeks later, so the yo-yo factor is in the back of my mind, and why that's important is we have staff that have not laptops, but the tower, the heavy equipment, if you will, keyboards, printers, those types of things, and they are signed out. We know who's got what at their homes. So we can't one day say you're in and the next day say you're out. That also has logistical issues for, if we're going to have a remote policy where people have that opportunity. Anyways, bringing the equipment back, making sure the connections are sound and people get seated will take a bit of time. So
So if we were, for discussion purposes, to make a motion that we would like to administrator to take such due speed as appropriate to reopen the office and come back to us with a recommendation on employment practices after it's been duly developed by him, would that be something useful?
Go ahead.
It seems to me like we've got a couple of things going here. One is the office open. Well, right now there are, Teresa, I believe you've been at the office regularly, and there are others that are in the office either in an organized fashion or not. So to open the office, to say people are welcome to come, is one level. The second level would be which staff and when and what equipment is where at what time
It's a different
is an entirely different
Well,
level.
let's
So
talk
if we're-
about level one first then.
Yeah, I'd say let's break it up
We
like
could
that.
go back and take a key, open the door, we have staff.
Yep,
They can wear their masks if they please, and if they don't, fine.
right.
So level one is the public access.
The public access, that's my
Level
concern.
two is the internal
Yeah,
decision.
internal decisions,
External
right.
versus the
So
internal.
the office is open to the public. That's probably the open office part.
Yeah.
That's
And that can be done in any shape or form, as long as the door's open and lights are on, and
Yeah.
somebody says, the mail's not outside on the doorstep, that kind of thing.
Presumably, that could be accomplished by Monday, say.
I would think.
No, see why not?
Who do we have to talk to?
Yeah,
The office manager.
man,
The only thing is, sure you open to the public, I'm the only one in the office.
Well, that's where we
But
have to start.
I can't help with permits or cost share,
No.
maybe.
That's the problem with nobody there.
right.
That's right.
President Priner, Board of
Okay.
Managers, that was going to be my point. We create the optic that we're open and business is easily facilitated, but if the staff aren't there, we're kind of back to that appointment issue. And it does place I don't know, an additional burden on those who are there if the fullness of the support isn't there. Now, that said, meaning the other staff.
So
That,
by next, 2 weeks from today, could you come to us with a proposal for opening the office?
I would say, do you need a proposal? I'll just come up with it and put it in play, and I don't know, the first week of April, that gives us, what, 3 weeks or so?
You want to stay closed that long, or you're,
Well,
We're
I-
not closed, we're open by appointment.
yeah, I know,
Yeah, but-
3 weeks? Yeah,
but
that
it-
just.
in
I
that
mean,
case, make a directive, make a motion. If there's, go ahead, yeah.
Pardon me.
I'm thinking about the equipment side of it.
So, I think it's, as Manager Wyatt said earlier, you're the administrator. You're the command. I think that's something you can decide and have done, since we don't need to give a motion to rescind am I mistaken? That we needed, I thought we had
I thought we
done
had
some
a
things
motion,
by
yeah.
motions before.
I thought.
2 years ago that, and since we don't, I don't see any reason why you couldn't work that out yourself. Hard for you to believe I'm telling you that, but
Keep it coming.
I think that's, pretty much what happens. And as far as the equipment comes back, I mean, the board wasn't involved in the equipment going out.
Exactly.
Then the board isn't going to be involved with the equipment coming back in, unless we're going to go do inventory or something, I don't think we're going to do that, so I'm after 25 minutes of discussion here, I kind of don't think there's any more issue. Unless the lawyer pops up again,
President Priner, Board of Managers, Manager Waller, we don't have to beat it too much. One of the values that, when we redid our job descriptions, we instilled some values. One was transparency, and maybe I've exercised it to a point that it's becoming exhaustive for you to hear, or I ask for your participation or your input on the value of it, so you don't think I'm not recognizing or believing in your authority. So,
Just a minute, Madam President, I don't have any dispute with your transparency, Nick, not at all. You've done a fine job at that and continue it. But I'm saying is that you're able to do this stuff and you're able to undo it. So, and I appreciate taking this time in the discussion here at the board and letting us know. I appreciate that, and I'm happy to hear that. And it's under the proper area. It's under administrator's updates. It's not an item for action. So have at it. Let us know how it
very,
goes.
very well. President Priner, Board of Managers, I'll come up with a plan, I'll institute it. Whatever my plan is, you'll know I have good reason for the reason I did it. We'll leave it at that.
And if we don't like it, we'll tell you.
Yep.
We'll change the plan
Bring it
again.
back, tell us what it is. If we don't like it, we'll tell you.
I used to appear before a commissioner who would encourage the staff to do like that. But he always would remind them, but of course I reserve the right to tell you you're wrong.
So, Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
the other item on this is Nick had said that as of today, we can't, there's something about board members having to be in person. So, just again as a reminder, we have the MAUD legislative conference coming up next week, I believe. And we did submit a resolution for the state to open up the possibility of
Yes,
um,
by statute.
elected folks
Yep.
to be able to
Do that.
attend meetings remotely. And part of our reason for that was to be able to engage folks other than retirees to be on, or people with schedules that don't allow for them to appear in person at these meetings. So that is yet another item that we'll be discussing as we go forward on how to not only open up the meetings to the general public, but to have a variety of folks be able to sit on these boards. So then the next question is, as we go forward, are we still going to be having Zoom hooked up in our meetings and having staff?
Board of
And-
Managers,
yeah.
yes, I would intend that we continue with the virtual aspect for those who wish to visit the meeting itself.
I hope so.
First and foremost, secondly, staff, attorneys, consultants, et cetera.
General public.
General public, probably most importantly. The main point of the declaration that President Preiner would sign to rescind would be that the 5 of you must be present in person.
Okay.
And so that,
Until the state law changes. So they can make
yeah,
the
there you
changes.
go.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
we will continue with the Zoom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Good. All right.
Okay, everybody,
That was useful, thank you.
yes, we needed the conversation, thank you. Okay, anything else, Nick?
No, that'll
Okay.
do it.
Manager's update, Manager Waller.
Madam President, as I mentioned on Monday, I had a request to visit with Councilman McCarthy a couple weeks ago over the Falls Marsh when we were putting the item in, and at that time Kyle was at the scene, and so I think we've pretty well taken care of that. I've had a conversation with him since. He was looking forward to hearing what was your email that you've sent, I'm sure, is what he was looking for, and after he had from the meeting on Monday, so the language was there. So, but anyways, that was positive. I don't have anything else.
Manager Wyman?
I intend to be at the MOD conference, both for the, what is it, Wednesday and then Thursday?
Wednesday night and Thursday morning.
And Thursday morning. I will be at the MOD Board of Directors meeting giving an update on the Clean Water Council.
Nice, very good.
And that breakfast was changed. Teresa told me it's at 7 a.m.
7:30?
Hour
7:30.
early. Yeah.
In the location?
In the Capitol
No,
downstairs.
no, it's been
No.
moved.
The
Okay.
breakfast is no longer at it originally scheduled the Capitol Vault Room. It's been changed in time, I heard you say to 7,
7:30, I think.
and it is at the hotel.
Okay.
I believe it's the DoubleTree,
Doubletree, yeah.
yeah.
Wherever that is, yeah.
Isn't that the former Kelly?
Is that the old former Embassy Suites?
Embassy Suites, I think.
No,
No?
the Embassy Suites is called the Drury,
Oh.
and the Kelly's called something else. And when we had this meeting with the snowstorm,
Yeah.
that hotel was downtown by the First National Bank building.
Oh, geez. Well, we better all find out, or we'll be,
We'll
we'll be in the wrong place for breakfast.
President,
I thought
President Preiner, I heard
Go ahead.
Teresa say she'll send it out. We could also print and bring it to this evening's meeting, and you'll have it in paper
Oh, right,
form.
right, thank
So,
you.
Because the last time we went to that, Madam President, wasn't it a snowstorm?
Yes.
Yes, and the trolley was the only way one or two of them came from the Capitol. That's one of the reasons for going back. I thought we were going to have breakfast in the Capitol
That would've been
cafeteria
easier, yeah.
downstairs, or whatever they call that German room.
Okay, Manager Bradley, any updates?
No, just to say that after our meeting and workshop, I made the minor corrections and some whatever, and submitted it, so I assume that will come up in the next month, the next meeting of the board.
yes, President Preiner, Manager Bradley, I do have that scheduled for the meeting on, I believe it's the 23rd, to bring that back to you. Thank you for that. I'll note that our visitor at the time to the workshop and the disruption with going in and out of Zoom with our technology there, they did inquire and ask for minutes and documents and so on and so forth, so they're participating with interest.
Good.
All right.
Roger Wakeman.
I have nothing.
The only thing I want to bring back a little bit is a question for John Kolb as to where we are with the DNR on that process that we went through before. So I probably won't have time to talk about it tonight or to anybody, but I would like to know, because we had gone through legislative process, they all dropped it in order to accommodate the
Are
situation.
you talking about down at the Capitol?
Yeah, I was talking about when we were,
That's 3-4 years ago now, right?
yeah, and we haven't heard.
Heard anything about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, and I would like to see, I'd like to know
Okay.
where that's at.
Yeah, okay, I forgot. That was, we wanted to change in some drainage rules.
Yep, and they had decided that they weren't going to do that, they were going to
DNR
negotiate.
promised us they'd be good people.
Yeah, we,
Uh-huh.
so,
Right up till we
Okay.
pulled the legislation.
I think that's the only thing I have. Everybody else, anything else?
Yeah. I'll look to put that on the next available workshop where John can attend. Chris Otterness, your engineer, is well versed in that, has to do with Bowser,
Yeah,
the drainage work group, these types of things. This is, I would say, all public drainage authorities communicating to the state that this isn't quite working for us.
So in such a time, I remember it was something that was good. Is that where we want to get rid of the 25-year rule in the Wetland Conservation Act so we could clean these ditches without a lot of trouble?
Well, that's
Well,
where
that
we were,
would be a good
where we were
start.
asserting our jurisdiction.
yeah,
Exactly.
if we needed permitting or not,
over-
for sure.
Basically preempted.
Wasn't it whether we were permitted or whether we asked for permission? I think those were the
Yeah.
fine points at the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Yes.
but
President Briner, yeah, you're correct. There was concern that DNR was exercising jurisdiction where it
Permission.
didn't have it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then further, the interface of public waters, which came after Public Drainage Authority, and where those two converge and the problems it causes as far as
The permitting.
draining
Yeah.
public water areas. So
Okay.
I'll get that on the schedule.
I would just add to Mr. Colville about the 25-year rule. That's a WACA, not the DNR, I realize, but that certainly would be helpful.
Yeah, it's just something
Very.
that we went through, but I never saw the
Well, yeah,
results. you
you're
know.
right. It was, the DNR comes out and says you don't need a permit, but you need our permission. So
Yeah.
there was a catch-22.
That was their results. And I want to know how that's worked. I know it hasn't worked well. All right, we need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.